Hello, everyone, and welcome back to The Rundown. I will be your host today, Craig DeLuz, coming at you from the West Coast, the left coast, behind the Iron Curtain, otherwise known as the Sierras. And today is Monday Fun Day.
I ain't stop what you're doing, cause I'm about to ruin the image of me that you're used to. I look money, a king bee making honey, see? Deep state, I hope you're ready for me. Now gather round, I'm the new sheriff in town. All my people rise up and stand your ground. Now drink up all the Diet Coke you got on your shelf. So just let me introduce myself. My name is Trump D. I like my mashed potatoes lumpy. Fake news, oh how I like to punk thee. That little sniper on the slow tin. He took a shot but he missed me. I don't fall, y'all, I'm like the ever ready bunny. Still going strong and spunky. So put on your big boy pants. Come on, let's do the dance.
The Trumpy dance is your chance to do the Trump.
Come on, do the Trumpy Trump. Come on and do the Trumpy Trump. Check me out, y'all. We do the Trumpy Trump. Just watch me do the Trumpy Trump. Yeah. Do you know what I'm doing? We do the Trumpy Trump. Come on, everybody do the Trumpy Trump. It's time to do the Trumpy Trump. Yeah, my favorite did.
That's right, folks. We are doing the Trump here on a fine Monday morning, June 9th, having a good time. Looking forward to hearing what y'all have to say about the news of the day. Because, let's be honest, there's a lot to talk about. We're mostly going to talk about one thing, though. We're going to talk about what's going on in the city of Los Angeles. We're going to talk about the riots. And yes, that's exactly what they are. They're going to call them protests, but they are, in fact, riots. Or as the president would say, it is an insurrection that is currently taking place down there in Southern California. But before we get into all of that, we got to do what we got to do. And you know what that means. We got to pay them bills. That's right. Bills got to be paid. And that starts by, us giving a quick shout out to our sponsors. We're going to start with the folks over at Hitman Industries. That's right, Hitman Industries. Rifle and pistol caliber barrels available for you to purchase today. If you purchase an AR, I don't know, in the last 5 years, chances are you already have one of their barrels, so you know you love it. So why not get another one? Once again, rifle and pistol caliber barrels at any length. All you got to do is check them out at hitmanindustries.net. Then we've got the California Republican Assembly working to help elect conservatives at all level of government, from school board all the way up to President of the United States. It is the largest and fastest growing grassroots Republican organization in the state of California. Check them out at cragop.org. At cragop.org. If you want to be a part of California's future today, you got to join CRA. And then we've got the best in concealed carry tactical holsters available on the market. That's right, you will find them at Hog Holsters. Just go to hogholsters.com. Make sure you use the discount code The Rundown. All caps, no spaces, one word, just like it is right up there, and you're going to get a discount on us. Check them out once again, hogholsters.com. That's HAWG holsters.com, helping Americans wear guns. And then finally, if you're looking to buy tactical gear, hot weather gear, cold weather gear, wet weather gear, outdoor gear, folks, there is no better place for you to go than to uscombatgear.com. They specialize in group sales. So if you have a unit, if you have a club, if you have a department that you're looking to buy some tactical gear, some outdoor gear, some first responder gear, they are the place to go. They have a huge selection. They have competitive prices and the best, I'll say it again, the best customer service available on the market. Just go to uscombatgear.com, where you can find all things tactical except the gun. All right, well, let's just be real, folks. It's going down there in the city of Los Angeles. And, people are just losing their minds down there. And it's funny because, here's what makes it funny. Is there's a lot of talk about protecting illegal immigrants or they're talking about protecting migrants. There's a lot of talk about being safe and making communities feel safe. But what is being lost in all of the discussion about this, that if none of the media is actually talking about, is the fact that these are raids that are specifically where they're targeting and they're going after criminal illegal aliens. That's right, criminal illegal aliens. In fact, here is no, that's not the one I was looking for. Here it is. I'm looking for the one. Oh, here we go. Tom Homan. This is Homan, and he's talking about exactly what these raids are, and exactly what it is that they are attempting to do there in the city of Los Angeles.
ICE responding to these protests, and thanks for joining us tonight. Look, we're going to continue doing our job. And yesterday we got 118 arrests. I was out here yesterday to kick off this operation. And what people aren't talking about is I served, several warrants yesterday. These were criminal warrants. This is a criminal investigation. And today we're continuing operations. They're not going to shut us down. We're out there right now doing operations. We're going to keep doing operations. We brought in more resources to push back the protesters, but I'll say it again, a serious warning. You can protest all you want. You got your First Amendment rights. But if you cross that line of impediment, or you're putting hands on officers or destroy property, you will be prosecuted. There's zero tolerance on crossing that lines, and that's what we're standing by. We're bringing more resources as we speak. We'll have more resources tonight. We're going to continue doing the job that American people voted Donald Trump in office to do, and we're not going to apologize for doing it.
Tom, it's Alicia Acuna. Again, thank you so much for being here. During the protest yesterday, a Los Angeles City Council member called for mobilization against ICE. Listen.
They know how quickly we mobilize. That's why they're changing tactics, because community defense works and our resistance has slowed them down before. And if they're escalating their tactics, then so are we. When they show up, we gotta show up even stronger.
So, Tom, will the Trump administration take action against these public officials who are threatening ICE agents with resistance?
Absolutely. And I think Pam Bondi and the Department of Justice are looking at that. And, like I said many times, these elected officials or these non-government organizations, they can't cross the line either. I mean, we got people like, Hakeem Jeffries saying he's going to dox ICE employees, ICE agents out there with masks on. They're wearing masks to protect themselves and their families because they've been doxxed, their families have been doxxed, their life's been threatened, their families have been threatened. I know myself, I had over 1,000 protesters at my house. I expect that as the borders are, but these men and women are putting their lives online every day. They arrested a lot of bad people yesterday and today. They arrested child sex offenders. They arrested people convicted of robbery. They arrested public safety, not only significant public safety threats, but national security threats. They arrested gang members. We're making Los Angeles safer. And Mayor Bass ought to be thanking us for making her city safer. And the term migrant, as Joe Concha rightfully said earlier, they're illegal aliens. There are illegal aliens in this country, and we welcome. We're the most giving country in the world. But these are illegal aliens who committed a crime by crossing this border illegally, then yet committed another crime. Again, yesterday's about a criminal investigation into money laundering, tax evasion, and some of the funds going to cartels in Mexico and Colombia that fund their operations of sending narcotics to this country, killing American people. This is about...
So the point that he's trying to make here is they are actually serving criminal warrants. These are people who have been convicted of crimes. These are people who are known criminals who they're going after. Now, where California is really messed up and where California is forcing this fight into the streets is because of their sanctuary policies, or our state's sanctuary policies. They've decided that they're not going to allow, when law enforcement has these people in custody, because most of these are folks who law enforcement had in custody, and instead of saying, oh, this person is here illegally, ICE has issued a detainer for them, instead of cooperating with ICE and handing them over, they're releasing them out onto the streets. They're not even holding them in jail. They're literally releasing them onto the streets, and they're forcing... Because if they're going to arrest these criminals, if they're going to arrest these rapists, if they're going to arrest these child molesters, these robbers, these embezzlers, if they're going to, in fact, arrest them, well, then they've got to actually go into the community where they are. And that is what is happening with these folks. That's why they're in these communities, because law enforcement won't work with them. Law enforcement refuses to work with them. They're ordered not to work with them. So if there's any reason why this is happening on the streets of LA, why people are upset because the politicians said, look, they're coming after you. You see what the city council member said, we're going to resist. Well, no, not going to happen. If you are going to resist, if you are actively impeding in the investigation of ICE, you will be arrested. And that, by the way, that'll get into another story that we're talking about a little bit later. But the next thing is what's happening is, so mind you, it's important to note what is going on here as well, is that You have people who are throwing Molotov cocktails. You have people who are spitting on and throwing rocks at officers. These are violent protesters. They're going after cars, private vehicles, and they're burning them up. This is a violent. This is a violent. I don't know if you want to call it an uprising, if you want to call it an insurrection, however you wish to refer to it. Uh, this is violent. And the media is absolutely positively refusing to acknowledge it for what it is. In fact, as far as they are concerned, the violence is being caused by law enforcement, not being caused by the violent protesters. Okay, I thought I had the sound on this. This is frustrating. Okay, hold on. Let me get back on this. Let me get back out of this. Yeah, sadly, I know that video has the sound, and I don't know why the sound is not playing. I'm going to try and see if I can play it directly from. Here we go. All right, let's try this. I'm going to pull up this right here, and I'm going to see if I can get the sound here for you. Because you guys need to see this. So let's go with that, make that full screen. Let's move it over. Let's see if that works now. No, no sound with that one either. That's because it's coming, but it's actually coming through. It's actually coming through my headset. Let's try this one more time. And okay, well, anyway, basically what's happening is the media is shrugging it off. In fact, here I'll read from the piece. This is over at the Washington Free Beacon. It says here liberal pundits and politicians spent the weekend insisting that the anti-ICE riots across Los Angeles were peaceful, even as split-screen footage showed cars engulfed in flames. At this point, this has been very peaceful. It has been tense at some points, but we haven't seen any violence happening here. CNN correspondent Julia Vargas Jones said as the network showed rioters on motorbikes circling a car on fire in the middle of an intersection. A similar video is shown on CNN as Representative Nanette Barragan, a Democrat from California, accused the Trump administration of targeting peaceful protests. Riots erupted in Los Angeles over the weekend in response to ICE raids in the city. Agitators shut down the 101 freeway, attacked law enforcement, set cars ablaze, and looted businesses. President Donald Trump sent in the National Guard in response. Former Vice President Kamala Harris accused the Trump administration of stoking fear and said demonstrations in defense of our immigrant neighbors have been overwhelmingly peaceful. I continue to support the millions of Americans who are standing up to protect our most fundamental rights and freedoms, she said in a statement. Representative Judy Chu, a Democrat from California, also blamed Trump for the destruction, accusing him of creating manufactured crisis by deploying the National Guard, as she argued on MSNBC that the Los Angeles Police Department had situation control. The network showed multiple large fires burning in the street. CNN anchor Dana Bash, meanwhile, suggested the disruption wasn't a real riot. Now, I need y'all to understand how crazy, once again, this is the positions once again that these folks seem to be taking. Now, right now, I'm playing the video for you, so because I know some of you you can't necessarily hear it. So were there people marching, and were they peaceful? Well, yeah. Were there people who were throwing Molotov cocktails? Yes. Were there people who were setting cars ablaze? Yes. Were there people who were attacking law enforcement? Yes. I'm sorry, but that you don't get to say mostly peaceful when you're lighting things on fire. You don't get to say, look, they show an image of a guy, once again, lighting vehicles on fire. Yet somehow, some way they're calling. Here's a guy destroying a police car, right? There's other images of them throwing rocks. And I'm like, now this one, it's a huge blaze. Police cars destroyed. but this is mostly peaceful. These are what are called peaceful protests. And by the way, all of this happened before, let me say it again, before Donald Trump called in the National Guard. You had the mayor of LA who refused to do anything. You have the governor of California who refused to do anything except call them peaceful protesters. This is why, and you know what? Part of me is like, and while I'm not rooting for the riots. I'm not saying that people should be rioting. Here's what I'm going to tell you. What I'm going to tell you is this: is that as long as they stand up and they continue to defend the rioters. By the way, let's be clear: people who are rioting because they are trying to arrest criminals. Not just illegal immigrants, rapists, murderers, robbers, embezzlers, thieves, people who have actually committed crime. These are not just illegal aliens. These are criminal illegal aliens. And they are defending them. And by the way, the reason why they're out on the streets is because of the sanctuary policies. If they were working with ICE and they were actually releasing them to or giving them to ICE when they've been detained, wouldn't be any need to go into any of these neighborhoods. It wouldn't be because they'd have them. But you don't get that from California. You won't hear that from Gavin Newsom. In fact, what you'll hear from Gavin Newsom is a bunch of, how shall we say, you'll hear the blowhard get up there and like, oh, well, I'm not scared of them. You can come arrest me. I dare you. I dare you to come arrest me. Oh, really? 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 Oh, you don't think he said that? Yeah, well, here he is right here.
He's been here 10 years. The fear, the horror. The hell is this guy? Come after me, arrest me. Let's just get it over with. Tough guy. You know, I don't give a damn. But I care about my community. I care about this community. The hell are they doing? These guys need to grow up. They need to stop. And we need to push back. And I'm sorry to be so clear, but that kind of bloviating is exhausting. So, Tom, arrest me. Let's go.
The perception is there's a lot.
Well, so he says that Tom should arrest him. Well, you know what? He's not the only person who feels that way. You already heard what Tom Homan said when it came to arresting elected officials who got in his way. Well, President Trump decided to chime in on whether or not Gavin Newsom should be arrested.
Come and arrest him. Should he do it? I would do it if I was Tom. I think it's great. Gavin likes the publicity, but I think it would be a great thing. He's done a terrible job. Look, I like Gavin Newsom. He's a nice guy, but he's grossly incompetent. Everybody knows. All you have to do is look at the little railroad he's building. It's about 100 times over budget. We're putting a flagpole over there. Under budget. I always do under budget.
What does your intel tell you about these people causing all the problems in LA? Are they people ICE is trying to deport, or are they professional agitators?
The people that are causing the problem are professional agitators. They're insurrectionists. They're bad people. They should be in jail. Thank you.
And that's something, by the way, that's important to note. And this is, as this thing is picked up, there are professional agitators from all over the country. And one of the reasons why it's important that these people get arrested is so that you can find out who they are. You can find out, are they from Los Angeles? Because I'm willing to bet you a lot of these folks, at least, probably not on night one, maybe even not night two, but by Sunday night, you had the George Soros funded agitators. Those are the ones who are out there in the streets. And those are the ones, by the way, who are traveling to Los Angeles right now, who are planning on engaging in, once again, more violence and more insurrection there against the city of Los Angeles and against the people of California. And you know what's happening is that when you have the Democrats basically trying to say nothing to see here, what they're refusing to understand is that's only going to incite these folks, and they're blaming the people who are actually taking violent criminals off the street. Well, and which is funny because they're refusing to do it. The mayor of Los Angeles isn't doing it. She's cutting the city law enforcement budget. The governor's not doing it. He's decriminalizing crime. He's refusing to fund a tough on crime initiative that was approved by a majority of voters in every single county in the state of California. That's right. Every single county, San Francisco County, Los Angeles County, all those liberal, Marin County, all those liberal left wing counties, all were like, yeah, we got to have some law and order. We have to have some law and order. Maybe we don't have to have as much as red states have, but we at least have to pretend like we're interested in law and order. And yet they're doing nothing. And yet you have a governor who's refused, whose budget, nowhere in his budget is there any funding to actually implement it. Um, yeah, this is going to be real interesting because, once again, this is another one of those, I call them 80-20 issues. When I say 80-20, I mean, when you ask people, do you want people who are here illegally, who have committed crimes, do you want them deported? Overwhelmingly, Californians have said, or Americans have said, we want them gone. Overwhelmingly, it's not even close. So I don't know why this is a thing, except that they just hate Donald Trump so much. That's all it is. They just hate Donald Trump so much. And they're learning real quick because right now, Donald Trump's numbers are up there where, I mean, they're up better than Barack Obama's at this point. Were at this point. It is crazy how popular and how well he is doing. It is. It's amazing how well they are doing. Now, one of the things that Newsom has said that he is going to do, Newsom has declared that he is planning on suing Donald Trump. That's right. What is he suing Donald Trump for? He's suing him for actually calling in the National Guard. Now, it's important to understand that normally what happens is when there is a need for the National Guard, usually what happens is the local government, so either the county or the city or the governor or of the state will call the federal government and say, "Hey, this is out of control. We need your help to help kind of get things under control." And they'll call in and they'll basically then call in the National Guard for whatever that state is and have them take care of it. Now, normally, and if the president wants to do it, normally what he'll do is he'll call the mayor, he'll call the governor and ask them. They will give permission, right? So even if maybe they don't necessarily fully want to do it, but they believe it's important, so they're going to go ahead and give permission. Well, in this particular case, they didn't allow them to do it at all. In other words, you have a governor and you have a mayor who have said, no, we don't want them. This hasn't happened since the civil rights movement. When they didn't want to desegregate the schools. Yeah, this hasn't happened since then, where the National Guard has been called in. Now, the National Guard in this case are basically acting as a barrier. What they're going to be doing specifically is defending government facilities. They're going to be defending some of these detention facilities. They're going to be doing federal buildings, federal courthouses, things like that. Initially, but so far he issued an executive order, put out an executive memo calling up 2,000 troops. So far, 500 are in the process of being deployed. Now, once again, let me say this: all of the fires, all of the destruction, all of the violence that's taken place so far did so with local police officers only. So it's out of control. And their attitude is, well, we'll just let them riot until, we'll let them riot and burn cars until they get tired. Yeah, kind of like soft parenting. Well, anyone with half a brain knows that is not going to work. Well, anyway, so he's like, look, well, you know what? Because of I think he called it the posse comitatus. I think that's what it's called. So he has decided that he is going to sue the federal government, in this case, specifically President Trump, in order to fight against that. This being reported by the folks over at Breitbart. Gavin Newsom, California, suing for illegal deployment of National Guard. California Governor Gavin Newsom announced his plan to sue the Trump administration for illegally acting to federalize the National Guard to contain the Los Angeles anti-deportation riots, accusing Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth of being in over his head. When asked by left-wing YouTuber Brian Taylor Cohen if he has any confidence that Hegseth will be as principled as former President Secretary Mark Esper was on Monday. Newsom coldly responded, Pete Hegseth is a joke. He's a joke. Everybody knows it. So in over his head, what an embarrassment. Matter of fact, here it is. Here he is right. Here it is right here. And once again, he's saying that he's in over his head. He said, that guy's just weakness masquerading as strength. I don't even know if he masquerades as strength. I mean, this Holman guy, these guys, it's just a band of misfits. It really is. The governor continued. This is serious. This is serious. People's lives are at stake. The reputation of this country is at stake. He went on to say that Trump's deployment of the National Guard prompted by the ongoing violent protest against immigration and custom enforcement officials that sparked last week is a preview of things to come in other cities. This is not about LA per se. This is not about us today. This is about us today. It's about you and everyone watching tomorrow, Newsom argued. I promise you, I mean, this guy is unhinged. Donald Trump is unhinged right now. Now, I want you to understand who he is calling unhinged. Now, let's be clear. So, Donald Trump sent in custom and enforcement agents to arrest people who have committed crimes here in the United States and are in the country illegally. He sent them in to arrest them. And the guy who is calling him unhinged has led a sanctuary city, sanctuary state movement that caused those criminals to be released on the streets. Okay? That caused those people to. So, in other words, the only reason ICE is in the streets are going after people is because Gavin Newsom and the California Democratic Party sent them there. They sent them to where the criminals are. And then when people rise up and they're angry because they're being told by the media, by the politicians that, hey, these folks are here in the streets and they're coming to get you. Then they rise up and they start getting violent and they start committing crimes against property, against law enforcement. And the people who are calling Donald Trump, and he said, and so Donald Trump decides, I'm going to send in some federal reinforcements to protect the people, to protect the property, to protect law enforcement. And the people who are calling him unhinged, they're the ones who refuse to deploy law enforcement, who refuse to allow law enforcement to utilize the force necessary to arrest and detain people and keep them from throwing Molotov cocktails, to keep them from attacking officers, to keep them from lighting vehicles and buildings on fire. Who's really unhinged here? Maybe I don't know maybe I don't get what unhinged actually means. Something must be off here because this makes no sense. Once again, the people who are unhinged are the people who are truly unhinged. I mean, people get unhinged. I see the protesters. Protesters are clearly unhinged. But when it comes to the policymakers, when it comes to the talking heads, the ones who are trying to restore law and order or promote law and order are being called unhinged by the very people who have allowed this madness, who have promoted this madness, who've made this madness happen through their policies and are continuing to promote it through their inaction. I don't know. I guess this is that part of the Bible where they say that they'll start calling good evil and evil good. That must be it. And I know it's weird because it sounds like I say that more and more and more when I'm doing this show, but that seems to be exactly where we're at right now. And the American people, folks, you need to understand this. You need to pay attention to it. And I know most of you are, a lot of you are, because you recognize that the media is not telling you the truth. And so you get it. And so that's why record numbers of people are watching Fox News. And Fox News isn't the best, but it's definitely better than anything you'll find on the legacy media. Anyway, folks, it's only going to get worse. And I'd say this, he is right, because this is going to happen in other cities. Because in other cities where they are hiding criminal illegal aliens, let me say this again, they are hiding criminal illegal aliens. They are hiding people who are in this country illegally, who have committed rape, who have committed armed robbery, who have committed robbery, who've been involved in drunk driving, who have, as in many cases, as a result, injured property and injured people. These are not, if there's any such thing as an innocent illegal immigrant, because if you're in the country illegally, you're already committing a crime. But anyway, all that having been said, that's who they're going after now. And I will wholly admit this: if you are with them and you happen to not be a criminal or convicted of crimes already, of other crimes other than being in the country illegally, if you're with them and you're here illegally, you're going to get caught up too. And the people you have to thank for that are the people who are running these sanctuary cities, because they're the ones who are sending them out into the streets to go find these criminal illegals. Otherwise, they'd just be working with the folks in the jails. But y'all don't want to hear that. Anyway. All right, folks, that now brings us to our parting shots. Parting shots are brought to you by Hog Holsters. Just go to hogholsters.com. Use the discount code The Rundown, all caps, no spaces. Get your hog holster today. All right, we're going to start off here. And by the way, all but one of our parting shots today are brought to you by our friends over at the Babylon Bee, fake news that you can trust. The first one here: Trump responds to mostly peaceful protests with mostly peaceful military. Sounds about right to me. But, for those who did not decide that they were going to be, mostly peaceful, you have another headline: illegals help film Republican presidential campaign commercial. Interesting stuff. Okay. Oh, here's another one. You'll like this one. Support for police skyrockets when they start shooting journalists. Okay, I get it. Yeah, that's a little anti-journalism-ish, but it's funny nonetheless. Anyway, here we go. And in the flavor of who's actually, people talking a lot about the protesters and the fact that Mexican flags far outnumber American flags. Well, that's not the only part of the culture that's made it into these protests. It says here, Mexican rioter adds lime wedge to Molotov cocktail. And by the way, if we want to make this more than just Latino, but we actually want to make it Hispanic, well, this is an idea. And by the way, this one is not from the Babylon Bee, but it says here, anyone else think that turning loose Spanish fighting bulls at these riots would be a great idea? It'd be the running of the bulls in Los Angeles. Anyway. All right, folks, that's going to bring us to the end of our program. But before we go, we got one more quick shout out that we got to do to our sponsors. First, we have Hitman Industries, rifle and pistol caliber barrels available for you to purchase at hitmanindustries.net. You got the California Republican Assembly, the conscience of the Republican Party. Check them out at cragop.org. And then you've got the best in concealed carry tactical holsters available on discount at hogholsters.com. That's helpingamericans.wearguns.com. And then finally, you can find all things tactical except the gun at uscombatgear.com. All right, folks, well, that's going to be it for today. We very much appreciate you tuning in. We appreciate you liking and sharing the program and encouraging your friends to do the same. We will be back tomorrow on Taco Tuesday. Till then, y'all have fun, stay safe, and we will see you mañana.